I think that, I think we can have influence just in Orem, right here in Orem. Influence in the home, and then in Orem, sometimes the whole country seems so big, and it's like the leaders in Washington or whatever, you feel like they're not going to look at that anyway, and on and on. But if I can identify specific principles that I believe in, and have that voice be heard to the leadership in our own city, I think that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And that's something I haven't really done before, because frankly, there's never been the choice that we have now. In our own city, we have some good choices, I think.
Yeah, we do.
And I don't think we should underestimate the power of that. Just as I've been involved with Eagle Forum and different organizations, particularly Eagle Forum, that's where I got my training mostly. So many times in executive board meetings that I've attended, we would get calls from Washington, D.C. asking how Utah was going to go on this issue. And so many times from national leaders, in fact, what was it just recently? I think it's the whole Common Core thing. Whatever happens in Utah is the predictor of how the rest of the nation will eventually go. So whatever happens in your house
interesting.
and our city predicts the future of how our world is probably going to go.
That
so I don't
so
think we can underestimate that.
Yeah, why Utah with Common Core?
Because I think we're
because of the LDS Church.
That's just
Simply, it's because we're recognized as strong conservatives with strong moral standards, religious, and so if what we allow is what for the rest of the nation, if they'll allow it, then anybody.
If the Mormons are doing it, we're okay too.
The gay lobby's swarming down on Utah.
Yes, especially if you look at the amount of parental influence in education in Utah, it's higher here than anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And so if parents are involved here and they're allowing it, then they can go to other places where parents aren't paying attention very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As you know, I've not studied this much, but if that's the assignment, to look at improvement in our public virtue and our private virtue, oddly enough, Bonnie, I was already thinking when you said what you were doing, I was thinking almost exactly the same thing for my life. And so perhaps it's a true principle if there can be 75 years difference in our age,
Which there isn't.
And you can be realizing that the best thing that you can do is to narrow in a way into the very most critical things that the Lord's giving you to influence right now, and that's the way you increase your public virtue, because that will have a ripple effect someday. That's kind of where I am too, because I've been involved in education and in government things and in health things, and I've been like this for 30 years 30 years, and I love those topics. And right now, I'm having opportunities to do some pretty significant things in education, but my spirit is saying, I don't want to, because I want to focus on what I think the Lord wants me to do right now, and that happens to be the health issue. And we've got to have healthy people in order to withstand all of the awful trials that are coming. So for me, it's a huge leap for me to say, it's okay to narrow your focus. You don't have to influence everything. And so that's the public virtue. And since Joe and Carrie are here, give me the definition, the difference between public virtue and private virtue. I know they've all read it, but I haven't heard it often enough. And you know it, like rolling off.
It's in there someplace.
No, you taught me this long ago, so teach me again. What is it? The difference between public and private virtue.
On the
Come on.
spot.
He's been
That's
out
all
of school
done
for a
this to me
while.
too.
It's, yeah, I don't know what to crystallize it into. There's a lot. You guys have been talking about it all night, haven't
No,
you?
we haven't.
No,
No.
Not
we talked
tonight, no.
about abundance
I just need a
earlier
reminder.
on, and then it led to this thing about.
Just what you do in private and public, like virtue in those.
But it doesn't mean in
Public on a
public that
group
you
level.
act in a moral way. Public virtue, as I remember that you taught me so well years ago,
Okay, so
was that what you offer to lift your society. That's public virtue. That what you
Well,
are
just sort of
giving.
about your responsibility too, in community is a bit of it, but yeah.
Public virtue is not being polite in public and being a rat at home. That's not what they mean.
No.
That's not what they mean. It's what you offer to your community. Okay, so
I think
Except where you cannot have public virtue if you don't have private virtue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
So-
it's too just about being in harmony with principles, privately, publicly. That what you're going to offer and share in your community outside your home is in harmony with principles. So if our government's doing things that they shouldn't do, that's lacking in some public virtue.
Yeah.
You know, to stand for freedom is public virtue, or to help people, to be generous, those kinds of things.
Yeah. The question I had for this second principle about a free people cannot survive under a public constitution unless they remain virtuous and morally strong. I thought, what virtues are they listing here? What specific virtues are the founding fathers listing here? And it said maturity in character and service, akin to the golden rule, the 10 commandments, industrious, frugal, honest, simplicity, wisdom, and manners. Those are the virtues that they actually listed, those specific ones. Because I thought, what do they mean? Which virtues? What does it mean to be morally strong? So,
Good answer.
Which is why when we go back to character doesn't matter, right? It's how well they do their job. We really don't care what they're doing with the rest of their lives. Oh yes, yes we do. It makes all the difference.
And that makes me think too, it's not just our leaders in government that need to have public virtue. That's not what she was saying in this. It was talking about each one of us. How can we develop our
Yeah.
public virtue?
virtue.
Yeah.
I
Each person, each citizen, each person
I think
can develop
all
this.
the people that have taken that to heart, and you think of all the nonprofits, or even not even people that have filed for nonprofit status, but who are doing these little organizations that are doing things for Africa and doing things for the homeless, or that's the manifestation of their inner love and desire to have public virtue. So it's just, we are abundant in that, I would say, in our country. People trying to do good, have causes, these greater causes.
yeah.
So,
And that's what makes this country extraordinary.
mhm.
I don't think a lot of people realize, maybe because they haven't traveled, they don't see, I don't know, that it is different here.
And so are we back to Alex de Tocqueville's statement? America is great because America is good. When America ceases to be good, America ceases to be great. Yeah. So.
Amen.
Any other action plan thoughts?
I think it's okay for our action plans to change.
Mhm.
I think we don't know our missions, and they entail lots of different things. And as you were saying that you wanted to focus on health, I thought the more healthy people we have, the less dependent we'll be on that Obamacare that's rolling out. Yeah, we will. Go ahead. Someone can be dependent on you, but it won't be us.
Yeah.
And that's so important. It's going to be important to our liberty, to our personal liberty.
And some of
That's
it's
awesome.
going back to lessons that we've learned over and over again, and say, am I applying that lesson right now? Am I doing the specific things that I've learned to do?
And I feel like I've stepped out and been involved in things, and right now I'm having to pull back, just like you, and say, can't do that.
Karen, I was hoping you'd take over for me in Eagle Forum, so what do you
You
say?
know what? Give me a while.
Okay.
I would love to take over for you in Eagle Forum, but right now I'm learning to say, no, I need to take your